I do largely try to focus on like the positive, as far as like our modern age goes. I think there's a whole lot of not even nostalgia, but just like longing for a past that is not in the digital age. And I do try to present kind of a positive, like, oh, there's a lot of good stuff right now too. But I'd be lying if I said like sometimes I didn't really yearn for the past, you know. I think there's like something about having nothing digital that's really cool, and being sort of a Luddite like my whole life. Like since I was a kid, I've always not loved technology. Like especially in my generation, a whole bunch of people would play video games as kids or like be on the computer a ton. I'm sure this goes for a ton of you watching this too. I was just never one of those people. Like I never thought that stuff was fun, and I still don't. I mean, I've played Minecraft here and there. Let me think, any other video games I've played? I used to like Street Fighter a little bit. But like I've really never been into video games like that. I've always liked the more analog stuff. And as a kid, you know, being like that, I always did think like what would be the best time? Like what would, if I were to say, if I have this position, we'd say, of like, I think that some of this technology stuff is bad and annoying and, you know, too far, especially the date of recording this, which is yesterday for you guys. This will be up tomorrow morning. I did, like, there's this new AI art out. I think it's from OpenAI, is this new like program to make AI art, or maybe it's just like a new bot that makes it. It's insane. It looks insane. And like I see things like that and I'm like, no, this technology stuff's bad. Like it makes me genuinely have the take that is the wrong opinion, by the way. Like technology is going to keep going no matter my own perspective on it. And I understand that, and I understand also there's going to be a ton of good that comes with it, right? But it doesn't mean I like it. Like I still look at just like the effects that something like having AI, chatbots, or social media has on like the way that I have to live my life now. And like I don't like that. And it's as simple, it's as big as things like social media affecting how we all interact with each other. And then things as simple as the fact that whenever you go to a restaurant now, you have to have your phone because you scan a QR code on the table to read the menu. And then everyone's on their phone for 10 minutes because they, you know, are like, oh, let me check that text. Let me look at this. Let me look at that. I mean, these very small, simple things that realistically don't change anything, but they really do bother me. It's in these moments where I'm like, this is bad. This technology stuff is bad, right? No matter how illogical that position is. And with that, as I've tried to get to 3 or 4 times now, comes like the idea that like I have to say, when was the sweet spot then? Like what time do I say like we should have stopped? If I were to have a time machine and want to go back in time, what would I like, what year would I go back to and like, I don't know, like burn down the factory or be like, guys, stop the technology. I don't like it. And I thought about that a lot, and I think it's interesting because there is no sweet spot. Like there is no time where it's perfect. As much as I think nostalgia wants us to believe that there might be, there never has been a time that was perfect. At least not from what I understand. You know, I think my initial temptation is the 80s. Growing up, and I think this happens every maybe 30 years, I would guess, there's like a lot of nostalgia for the time 30 years ago. And the only reason I say that is because all the people in my family who are, you know, we're growing up in the 80s are like, you guys all want to live in the 80s now. We all want to grow up in the 50s. Like apparently in the 80s, there was a bunch of 50s nostalgia, which is something that you would never know about. I mean, unless you ask somebody, or they told you, like happened with me, you would never really look at like the movies from the 80s and be like, man, they were really longing for the 50s. I think it's mainly because now, when we have this 80s nostalgia, we greenlight a bunch of Netflix shows and movies that are set in the 80s, even if they're about Jeffrey Dahmer. That was weird. Wasn't that weird? Like, I think about that sometimes. Like, that Jeffrey Dahmer show, that they, like, had the most horrific things happening, and we're like, and there's gonna be some 80s nostalgia. It's like, what? Like, that's weird that you sold your Jeffrey Dahmer show by being like, and the neon lights and all the music from the 80s. Isn't this interesting? Like, it was weird how much they, obviously, like, it's set in the 80s, so there's gonna naturally be some aspects of it, but it was like weird how they would like try to capitalize on like, look at the club scene in the 80s. I don't know, had a weird vibe to it. But now we do that, and I feel like, not off the top of my head at least, I mean, I don't know all the 80s movies and TV that well, maybe they're just not as prominent today as remembered, but I feel like back then they weren't making movies about like the 50s like we are right now. And that's why I genuinely say, like, I feel like saying we have nostalgia, it doesn't really sum up the feeling, the emotion that many people hold right now towards the 80s or the 90s or anything pre-digital. Like, people aren't nostalgic for the 80s right now. They want to be in the 80s. I know so many people personally who only listen to music on cassette or vinyl, which, cool, good for them. Like, I'm not hating on that at all, but that's interesting, isn't it? That it's like, I don't just think this time period is cool. I don't have an interest in it. I want to recreate it because of its dynamics. I think that's interesting. Maybe there's like a solid chance, because I didn't think to Google this. What would you even Google to find something like this out? Maybe people have always been doing that, have they? Where it's like, I don't just think this is cool, I want to be there. Have people always been like LARPing decades before? Because I feel like that's unique, and everyone who's older than me that lived through the 80s says that that's unique. But is it? I don't know. I think like a large part of the reason why I want to go back to these times is just because I think it is so much cooler when you don't have a phone. Like, I think that's a huge part of it. I think this comes in the fact that, like, a lot of us recognize, I know I certainly recognize, whether implicitly, sometimes very unfortunately explicitly, that, like, I have no genuine control over the way I use the technology around me. Like, even when I try to exercise some semblance of control in terms of like, okay, today I won't be going on my phone, it's only a matter of time till two-factor authentication comes, and then I go on my phone, because I have to do something for work, or for this, or for, you know, anything. And then on my phone, then it's, okay, let's check that text. I should respond to the family group chat. I don't want to be rude. I don't want to ignore the family group chat. Let's respond to that. Oh, someone sent me a reel. Let me check out this reel. And then you're on Instagram. It's like, there's no, as much as you can exercise, like, okay, I'm gonna go put my phone in the other room, there's no genuine control you have over that. And I think that's why a lot of us, or maybe again, this could just be me speaking for myself a little bit, have this disdain for our phones and stuff, because it's like, I don't control how I use my phone. I'm being forced to pick it up, and then once I pick it up, I have a million, like, all the smartest people in the world are in Silicon Valley right now going, how can we trick him into clicking on our app again? How can we suck him in for another 10 minutes? Like, that's crazy, isn't it? I feel like if you go back to like the 60s, the smartest people on earth were working on getting us to the moon. Now they're all working on, how do I make this guy check out some more Instagram reels of hamburgers so we could serve him another ad. Like, that's what all the geniuses are doing in Silicon Valley. And I'm not saying this in a mocking or in a condescending way. These people are geniuses. They're way smarter than me. I just wish they would work on the rockets again instead of getting me to use my phone. And like, I consider myself to be somebody who's like pretty good. I think my screen time daily, for just my phone, not like computers or anything, is probably 2 or 3 hours, maybe. And that's way lower than everyone I know. Most people I know are up to like 8 hours, which again, I'm a Zoomer, so like maybe that's why, maybe it's just the people I see that are there, but I don't think so. I think that this is a very common thing to be on your phone for multiple hours a day now. I mean, I know I have older people in my family. They're definitely on their phone at least 5 hours a day, you know, scrolling something. I mean, they love Facebook. We know they love Facebook. So that's like a thing too. Okay, this is actually, we're gonna cut the conversation for a second. I want to try and do lines on this and see if I can get them clean. So let's start. that failed. Okay. There's always, the last time I tried this too, of like doing a very dramatic line, that also failed. So maybe we got to stop with that. Maybe, I think, they say diamonds form under pressure, and it could be possible I'm not meant to be a diamond. I think the pressure is too much of doing that big dramatic line, and I think we're gonna have to, see, that was crazy that I just messed that one up so hard. Because I'm thinking in my head, logically, it makes sense that when I very fast and firmly drag this across it, it'll make a clean line. Like, logically that makes sense. But in practice, all it does is get me to make a terrible line. I'll try and clean those up a little bit. I think there are also, which I don't want this conversation to go there, especially because I'm just not equipped to really, I'm not smart enough to talk about it, because I don't have, it's one of those things where this comes up a lot, I feel like, where, not like when you're learning a language, you can understand it, but you can't speak it. I feel like that's where I am with a lot of more academic theory type stuff, where I've read a good amount of it, where I can well understand what is being pitched by whoever's, writing this hypothetical thing I'm reading, but I'm not good enough to the point where I can adequately describe it. But I have seen genuine theories and economic, systemic things behind why people do have this nostalgia for the 80s, and I think that's interesting. Namely, the decay of neoliberalism is something that a lot of people point to. I don't want to veer off in that direction too far, though, because I'm not smart enough to really articulate it, you know what I mean? But I think those are, from what I've seen, those seem to be genuine answers to things, to be honest with you. It seems like people do have a real answer for this, as to why things are this way. I can't help, though, but look at the screens in my hand and be like, we should return to a time before that. The early 2000s seems solid enough to me. And if we're trying to answer the question of what time do you want to go back to before the digital age, I think CDs are sick, having that technology is sick. And it was before culture started kind of regurgitating itself. I feel like there weren't as many reboots going on and stuff like that. So I would love to just continue the early 2000s for a long time. I guess there were things bad then, but I don't know. At least I wasn't on Instagram seeing the bad things, I think this seems so stupid saying this, but I think there's a genuine case of I would rather read the atrocities in a newspaper or on my computer than scroll past them 24/7. I feel and I'm not saying this in terms of distance me from them. I'm saying I think that people have genuinely lost empathy. Because how do you scroll past 20 different horrific things that would be historic events if they weren't so frequent, and not just lose some sort of empathy from that? You know what I mean? I feel I could name where I was when I heard about the first mass shooting. I can't even name where the last one happened because they're that frequent. And I think part of this is obviously the bigger problem, rather, is that we're having this many things like that happen. The other thing, though, too, is the way that we're consuming this, I think, is a deeply, why am I seeing the news that a horrific thing just occurred right next to the reel of Big Justice and AJ giving a cheeseburger 5 big booms? Something doesn't feel right about that. And I'm not saying either party is the problem there. Shout out AJ and Big Justice, no issue there. I'm saying, we need to do something about that. I think being able to scroll past something that makes you go, oh my God, that's insane, oh my God, and then seeing boom, 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 it's not good. That's not how that should be consumed, I think. So that was just some rants about the digital age and why I think there is that nostalgia or technology, or why I don't like it. I don't know. I don't really know what that was. I painted the colors that remind me of the 80s, though, because that's what we talked about quite a bit. And I wanted these lines to be thinner and cleaner. I'll give it to myself. This is probably the thinnest and the cleanest that I've been able to get these lines, so I think that is cool. I also think this teal and this pink are nice. I got some new paints that are There's smaller tubes, but they had more colors, so I was like, let's try some new colors. I feel like looking at Paint and Talk so far, it's literally just been like primary colors, so I thought it'd be cool to do that. Maybe make things a little bit more colorful from here on out. And yeah, this is the painting. The lines are clean, than they have been. Not great though. And yeah, just a simple composition. So I guess not too much to talk about there. Go check it out over on Instagram. I hope you guys enjoyed today's talk. Despite the distracting elephant in the room, I did get my hair cut. I hope that didn't affect your guys' viewing experience too much. And until tomorrow, guys, gals, and pals, my name is Max Dice. This has been Paint Talk episode 86. I'm here every morning, painting and talking with you all.